Welcome to this week's edition of the Inter Miami Weekly Show. We'll look back at the first leg of Champions Cup against Nashville, dissect the first loss of the season on the weekend against Montreal, and look ahead to another busy week. Second leg against Nashville, league match on the weekend against DC United, all right here on the Inter Miami Weekly Show. Back at it again at Chase Stadium with the Arsenal great and Inter Miami veteran Kieran Gibbs. I'm Joe Malfa. Kieran, I hope you've gotten the hour back of sleep that we all lost this weekend because we need to be well rested for another busy week for Inter Miami. Coming off this past week, the big 2-2 draw on the road against Nashville in Champions Cup will start there. They go down 2-0. They come back in the second half, get those 2 away goals, earn the draw. Just how massive of a result was that on the road against a team that's becoming a rival?
Yeah, it's a huge result, Joe, and especially for Tata, which he said at the start of the season was one of his main focuses. They've shown great character and resolve again to get back, and they've given themselves a real chance to progress. It's another opportunity for them tomorrow night to get a good result and show that they want to compete in the best tournaments and for the best prizes.
And that sense of inevitability, as Jake Ziven put it on the Apple broadcast this past week, I think he encapsulated it best, where it's like 2-0, 3-0, whatever the score is, as long as you have Messi and Suarez on the field, you always feel like you're in the game, and that's exactly what we saw against Nashville. Messi scores just shortly after going down 2-0, and then again in stoppage time, it's Suarez who makes it 2-2. I guess you never really feel out of a game when those two guys are on the field.
Absolutely not. They're just that good. They're just that good, and we said that any team up against them with the quality that they have, you really have to be at your best to get a result against them, and they've shown their greatness again. Once again, they've just shown such high quality and to get back into the game and to really show that determination is just an exceptional elite level.
And that's where you have the double-edged sword that is having all of these competitions, of course. Because of that, in the previous week in the build-up, you get a squad rotation over the weekend against Montreal. Turns out to be the first loss of the season, 3-2. We'll take a look at the highlights from that result. It's a result that Tata Martino, we'll hear from him in a little bit, felt could have gone the other way, but it was what it was, and some issues early on, especially defending set pieces for Inter Miami.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Montreal credit. They started the game really well, and they just didn't allow Miami to get any momentum in that first half. But this first goal here is another set piece, which we did say just before the show that we wanted Miami to focus on. I have to say, though, this is an unbelievable delivery from Ariel Lacertais right in an awkward area where the keeper doesn't know whether to come and get it or not, and they just get caught a little bit flat-footed.
We might have been focused on the wrong former Inter Miami player coming back this weekend. We hyped up Joseph Martinez in his return. He didn't have too much of an impact, but it was Ariel Lacertais who really impacted things. Jordi Alba thought he had his first goal of the day right there. Offside flag negated it. We'll hear from him later on. He would still have his moment in the sun. But as we go to the second half, it was more of the same, just Inter Miami being close but not quite. Offside flag bites them again as they were trying to claw back into this one against Montreal. And before you knew it, it would come back the other way, and Montreal would start pouring in a couple more. Just a back-and-forth game, and the encouraging thing, I think, to this point near the hour mark, Kieran, was they were in this game despite the squad rotation and even equalized right here through Leo Campana.
Yeah, and you have to give all credit here to Larson Sunderland, who I thought had a really good game, actually, and to be at that young age and step up to come back into it for your team was brilliant. A great delivery and a good finish from Leonardo Campana.
And then another set piece. That was the theme of the day. They scored on 2 of them. They probably could have scored on another 1 or 2 of them with all the chances they had, but just another issue defending set pieces there.
Yeah, and it was just, again, such a great delivery. It was really right in between the defenders and the goalkeeper. They just get caught a little bit flat-footed again. And they get the run on them, and it's a good finish.
Had the momentum there, and hard done by the deflection here off of Freire. It comes in to make it 3-1. No quit in this team, though. Busquets had come on. The game changed a little bit, and Alba with this one just exquisite to make it 3-2 and really turn the pressure up in the late stages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a beautiful finish that is. I mean, they just left themselves a little bit too much to do in the end, but take nothing away from that. That is right out of the top drawer from Jordi Alba.
That's one you'll see all season long on the highlight reel, just playing over and over again. And there were just moments through there where it felt like, again, even without Suarez, even without Messi, and again, Suarez came on in the late stages, but without those guys for the entirety of the game, it still felt like that equalizing goal was going to happen. And that's what you want with this club. You never feel at any point like you're out of a game, even on a day where you don't have Messi. It's still a positive result. It's still one where Tata Martino comes out afterwards and says it maybe should have been a win. What were your biggest takeaways from the loss against Montreal?
I mean, there were positives for sure. There were moments where you could see the Miami that we've seen over the last couple of games. I think the only negative for me was probably the set pieces, like we did say last week, that we really want them to focus on those small details. I mean, we're talking inches. I think David Ruiz is at the back post for the free kick, the second goal, and these are the margins we're talking about. Very, very fine margins in this game, and if they can just tweak those things a little bit, they'll come on leaps and bounds over the next few weeks. But I hope Tata, I'm sure he's going to be focusing on that, because it ends up becoming either detrimental or a success if you're good on the other side of set pieces as well. So still many positives to take, though. I thought they showed moments that Robert Taylor had some big chances. Snyder Borgelin had a chance at the end as well. So it could have gone either way in the end, and they just have to take that one on the chin and move on to the next one.
Well, let's hear from Tata Martino. He had something similar to say. We're happy with the performance, maybe felt it should have been a win, but still some things to clean up.
Nosotros no tuvimos un buen comienzo, los primeros 10 o 15 minutos fueron malos, pero la realidad es que el rival nos hizo 2 goles de pelota parada. Y nosotros llevamos todo el gasto del partido, con tiros en el travesaño, con tapadas del arquero. O sea, claramente era un partido que debíamos ganar, y claramente es un partido de los que el año pasado nos reprochamos al final, cuando perdemos los puntos en los momentos en que no tenemos que perder, y cuando perdemos los puntos sin que el rival sea superior.
So Tata overall happy again with the performance, felt it should have been a win, and there's some more I want to unpack from this result here, Kieran. You touched on it, lost in Sunderland. He's a kid who's come on seemingly out of nowhere. I had a chance to watch him a bit last year in MLS Next Pro with the team's second team in the third division, MLS Next Pro, and he seemed to cut above a lot of the other players on that team where that jump might be possible for him to make that leap to the MLS side. Just a matter of when and what sort of role he would have, knowing the team would need depth throughout a long season. But I don't know if I would have imagined he'd come in and have the impact he's had immediately. Go back to the Champions Cup game this past week. On the equalizing goal that Suarez had, he had the pass to make it 2-2. Now here, against Montreal, gets his first start, has the assist on the Campana goal. He's showing flashes of a player who belongs, and it's something to think about for Tata, giving more and more minutes as the squad rotation has to happen through all these competitions.
Yes, what I like about Sunderland most is his willingness to affect games. I mean, he's a big, strong boy. Physically, he's capable to play at this level for sure. But I like his determination to get in the box, to try and provide assists. I saw it a lot in pre-season. He had a lot of chances in pre-season, and you can see his motivation to affect games and get assists and goals is something that he's really focused on. So that's what I like about him. He doesn't just take part. He actually wants to be involved, and he wants to get his name, on the score sheet or on the assist sheet.
Another interesting that stuck out was the right back situation, right? We just had traded DeAndre Ayala in the previous week. You wondered how that role would be filled. The easy answer we thought might be Julian Gressel, just slotting to that position. He's played it before, but Tata Martino had just said recently that he really liked the way Gressel was playing in the midfield, so maybe he wouldn't make that switch. And the answer turned out to be David Ruiz comes in as the right wing back and Gressel in the midfield, which you thought might be flipped, right? Because we've seen Ruiz almost exclusively in the midfield, but we've seen Gressel at right wing back, but it was flipped. So what did you make of that partnership, sort of, so to speak, in that area? And Ruiz getting his first look at that position.
I mean, I think he's gone, I don't know, but I'm guessing he would have gone for Gressel in the middle just to add the experience in, because, Sergio Busquets didn't make the starting lineup. So he probably went with Gressel just to add, a bit of experience in the middle and put David Ruiz out on the right, because he's still got a lot of energy to be able to get up and down and support the attack and the defense when needed. But he's going to have to learn as he goes on, who he prefers to play in which position. But I mean, for me, I like David Ruiz in the middle just because I think he's a player that has the ability to scan 360 all around him, and he can see the game from the middle of the park. I think that's where his bread and butter is. I think that's what he likes to be as a player. So, but it'd be interesting to see, how he goes about it over the next couple of games.
Absolutely, and you mentioned Busquets in there. I want to touch on him specifically here. As soon as he subbed in late in that match, took on a different identity where he was slowing things down. Everything flowed through him, and I think it gave us a true glimpse on Sunday as to just how important he is to the buildup of this team.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly by just saying slowing things down. That's just what he does. Sometimes when the game gets a little bit frantic, you're chasing a game, you might throw an extra player forward to try and get that equalizer. He just has the ability to really settle the team down and defend with the ball. That's what he does brilliantly. He defends with the ball. He very rarely gives the ball away. He knows everything what's going on around him, and he can really, bring other players into the game, and he can allow the attacking players, because of his know-how and his positioning tactically, that obviously was a miss, but I thought Redondo was good. I feel like he's going to really grow into the team. Obviously, it was his first game, and we have to give him chance to grow with the team. But yeah, I mean, Tata's going to have loads of opportunities and options to pick from throughout the season. So it's just important at this stage to keep everyone fit and get everyone on the same hymn sheet.
I'm glad you bring up Redondo because he really looked comfortable as that game went on. He played, of course, the Nashville game in the week leading up to it in Champions Cup, and then just more time then in the match against Montreal, looking more and more comfortable. So let's close the door on the Montreal loss. We knew there would be some losses as the season would go on, especially as the matches would start coming thick and fast with Champions Cup. But going forward now, right back at it in Champions Cup against Nashville on your home turf. You saw how physical that game got this past week. It is certainly a rivalry between these groups. Obviously, it's a must-win. You need to win to get through. Or a draw, get into the technicalities of the away goals. You could still get through the draw. But how massive is this fixture against Nashville, considering Tata Martino himself laid it out preseason that this is the number one goal this year? Win Champions Cup, get through to the Club World Cup next year. You have to do it now against your rival on your home field.
It's huge, Joe. It's huge. I mean, listen, the club overall, we said during pre-season, didn't we, that they're always striving to achieve and achieve greatness. They have a squad full of historic players that have played for the biggest prizes, and this competition is the gateway to be able to test yourself against the very best and put yourself in the history books. So it is a big game. It is a big game, and I feel that they've given themselves such a good chance by getting the draw away from home, which was not easy. Nashville away is not easy, and so I'm expecting them to come out really strong tomorrow night with the crowd fully behind them.
Absolutely, and then another road trip on the weekend to DC United. Not going to be an easy fixture that either coming into the year. DC was kind of, what are they going to be? A new head coach, a lot of new faces in the roster. They've come out and opened the season with a win and 2 draws and have looked technically sound under Troy Lesesne, just coming in from Red Bulls, where he was the assistant last year, or the interim, last year, and now the head coach at DC. And perhaps there is some squad rotation again because it's coming off the heels of this fixture, what would be the second leg against Nashville. So what are you looking for on the weekend? Again, potentially might have everybody fit, and if not, if it's a case where there is rotation, some of those players who we just saw this past weekend against Montreal, what next jump are you looking to see out of them going into DC?
Well, I mean, first of all, I like the fact that, they have to get used to playing without your Messis and your Suarezes. So I feel like that was a really good experience for them on the weekend to test themselves, without those players around them. So I feel, there'll probably be a few changes again tomorrow night. I would expect them to just focus on the smaller details of the game, not the bigger details, because I think that overall the performance was there. I think that it's just when you get those smaller little details, just from lack of experience or lack of know-how when you're playing that kind of that streetwise playing. If the game gets a little bit frantic, who's going to be the one to slow the game down, like Sergio did when he came on and kind of grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. But I saw some positive performances that I'm expecting to see the same again this weekend.
Well, there you have it. It's been a busy couple of weeks, and it's going to continue that way for the foreseeable future here now in the rhythm of the season. Win, lose, or draw. You can catch us every week here on the Inter Miami Weekly. weekly show on YouTube. And thanks for everybody who's gotten us over that 200,000 subscriber threshold.